So, you've put together the perfect announcement. It's big news for your company, something you know is genuinely newsworthy. You finally hit send on that press release and you hear nothing back, just crickets. Well, what if the real reason it's getting ignored comes down to a few tiny formatting mistakes? Mistakes that honestly are super easy to fix. Let's dig into what those are and how to get your news the attention it actually deserves.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? You have to remember, journalists are just drowning in press releases every single day. So they have these little mental shortcuts, these filters, to sort through all that noise. And the very first filter? It's professionalism. This quote just says it all. One simple formatting mistake and your huge announcement gets deleted before they've even read a single word.
That is the big question, right? How do you signal to a super busy editor that your press release is the one that's worth their time? Well, the answer is actually way simpler than you might think. You just have to speak their language. And that language, my friends, is AP style. Now, this isn't just some random list of boring rules. No, this is the professional gold standard for the entire journalism industry. When you use it correctly, it's kind of like a secret handshake. It tells them, hey, I get it, I respect your work, and I've prepared this to make your job easier. You can think of AP style as the universal operating system for news. When your press release follows the rules, it just plugs right into how a newsroom works. An editor sees it, they instantly recognize it as professional, and they know it's going to require way less editing on their end. And that, of course, makes them far more likely to actually read it. Okay, so where do you even start with all this? Well, you start with the single most important piece of formatting that acts as the ultimate gatekeeper, the dateline. This one little line of text is your entire first impression, and believe me, getting it right is absolutely non-negotiable. And I am not exaggerating here. The dateline tells the journalist the city and the date where your news is coming from, and it has this incredibly specific format. Getting it wrong is, hands down, the fastest way to signal that you're an amateur, and it just instantly chips away at the credibility of everything else you're about to say. So let's break down the formula, because you gotta get every little piece right. First, the city name, always in all caps. Then you've got the state, and this is important. You have to use the official AP-style abbreviation, not the two-letter postal code. After that, the date, and it's all followed by a long dash. It's called an M dash, right before you start your first sentence. So, for example, Denver, Colo, Feb 13, 2026, and then your text begins. And here is a classic trap that gets so many people. There are 8 states that you never, ever abbreviate in a dateline. So if your company is in Austin, your dateline has to say Austin, Texas, not Tex. You should probably just memorize this list. It's such a simple way to avoid a really common mistake. Okay, so once you've completely nailed the dateline, you have to keep that professional vibe going throughout the rest of your press release. So let's look at a couple of key rules that will instantly make your writing look more polished. AP style is pretty stingy with its capital letters. So here's the main thing you need to remember. A formal title, like president, only gets capitalized when it appears immediately before the person's name. If the title comes after the name, it's lowercase. So it's President Sarah Johnson, but it's Sarah Johnson, president of the company. See the difference? All right, the rule for numbers is another one of those simple but super powerful signals of professionalism. It's easy. You spell out the words for the numbers 1 all the way through 9. The second you hit 10, you switch to using the actual numerals. It's a small detail for sure, but being consistent here really shows that you know the rules of the game. You know, language is always changing, and AP style changes right along with it. Using outdated tech terms is basically like showing up to a meeting wearing clothes from a decade ago. It just looks off. So notice here, it's email, no hyphen. The word internet is now lowercase, and you can use AI right away on the first reference. Using the most current terms shows your business is up to date and paying attention. So we've gone through the why and the how. Now, let's turn all this information into a simple, immediate action plan. Something that's going to totally transform your very next press release and start building that critical credibility with journalists. Here it is, your 3-step plan, super easy. First, go back and audit your last press release. I promise you are going to find a few mistakes. Second, create a simple 1-page cheat sheet for your own company with your correct dateline, the titles you use most often, and any other common terms. And finally, build a simple checklist based on everything we just covered and use it as a final proofread before you even think about hitting send again. You know, in the end, it really just comes down to this.
Every single press release you send out is either an opportunity, a chance to build trust and be seen as a credible source, or it's just more noise that's headed straight for the trash. By mastering these simple AP-style basics, you're giving your story the professional wrapper it needs to get the attention that it truly deserves.